She felt no pain, saw only the flames devouring her. The fire spread quickly, igniting the dry grass around her. The woman did not utter a word, no scream escaped her mouth. She spread her arms out, surrendering to the flames. The silence made it truly frightening, that fear of the inevitable. She fell silently to the ground, the flames fading. The two looked at the burned body and turned and walked away, never once turning around. The fire went out. They didn't see the woman's eyes open on her unrecognizable face.
I dreamed about her.
The woman sitting next to him looked at him strangely.
You did what you had to do. Alex, you're a hunter, it's your calling.
I know, Rita, I know, but what if we're wrong? What if she's not a dark witch?
She's a dark witch with demons. You saw her in the field summoning them yourself. She deserved it.
Rita spoke with a vengeance.
I keep getting this bad feeling something's gonna happen.
Alex shook his head dejectedly.
You're just getting yourself worked up. And anyway, the guests are coming soon. Help me set the table.
Rita and Alex had been married for almost 20 years. Both of them came from a line of witch hunters. Yeah, there are still witch hunters these days. It's a whole community. They know how to recognize a witch, and every one of them has been tried. It's real. There were investigators who collected evidence of guilt. Sometimes Alex began to wonder if they were doing the right thing. They were expecting an old friend and his new wife. Kostya got married 2 months ago, and so far, none of his friends knew his wife. The doorbell rang and Alex went to open the door. On the threshold stood Kostya holding the hand of a beautiful, fragile blonde.
Hi, here we are. Meet my wife, Sasha.
Hi.
The girl smiled and looked directly at Alex. For a second, he thought something familiar in this girl.
Hi, come in. Why are you standing in the doorway? Rita's in the kitchen.
The guests went into the spacious living room with a fireplace, where the table was set. Rita appeared in a couple of minutes with a dish of hot food. They got acquainted for another 5 minutes and sat down at the table. The conversation was about the usual things that are usually discussed. Later, the conversation smoothly turned to magic. Kostya, by the way, was not a hunter, just an ordinary middle-class businessman.
How do you feel about witches and mysticism?
I don't believe in charlatans. I am a materialist and realist.
That's what I mean. They are all charlatans.
But there are things in the world that cannot be explained.
Everything has an answer and everything has an explanation.
They discussed different cases of miracles for a long time.
And what do you do, Sash?
Oh, I'm looking for a job now. Actually, I was working as a nanny. My girl, my ward, has grown up. She's already finishing the 6th grade, and we said goodbye.
I think it's fate. We're just looking for a nanny for our daughter.
Oh, it's such a problem. One is crooked and slanted, the other stupid. There are also frankly rude. One was, she gave her daughter sleeping pills so she wouldn't cry and sleep. She slept all day. And we're just on the doorstep. And the child will not calm down. Thanks to people, they helped us.
Maybe you could try it. How old is your daughter?
She's still young. She's a year old.
That's a great age. We can try.
Great.
The evening went on as usual. Having seen the guests off, Rita checked on her daughter, who was asleep in her bed. Alex cleared the table. Rita helped him.
And this Sasha is okay. She seems normal.
And I liked her, and not a witch.
Yes, I realize that too. She's not a witch. They're different.
Let her try to work for us. We really need a nanny.
I agree. My bad feeling hasn't gone away. It's just gotten stronger. It's like the clouds are gathering. The darkness is near.
Maybe a new case. You always get that feeling. Before a case.
This is different. Worse. Trouble is walking around.
A week later, Sasha started working for them as a nanny. Surprisingly, the girl immediately reached out to the girl. The girl's name was Dasha. She was already walking briskly. She was curious and interested in everything. Sasha spent 6 days in the house of Alex and Rita, and in the evening she went home. Everything was fine with everyone. Sasha rested her head tiredly on the edge of the tub. Having come from work, she took a bath, added a decoction of healing herbs, a couple of drops of her favorite oil, and lit candles. Kostya was away on a business trip for a month, and she was alone. She loved solitude, silence, and peace. Suddenly, one of the candles crackled and went out, apparently because water had gotten in when she was getting comfortable in the bathtub. Raising her hand above the water, the girl snapped her fingers, and the candle lit itself.
Yes, pretending was hard. I've experienced that firsthand.
Alexandra closed her eyes and plunged into memories. That's when old Mara found her. Her body was burned, tortured from torture. How the old woman had managed to drag her to her home, Sasha never understood.
I began to heal you and was able to pull you out of that world, the world of the dead.
Except that Sasha had lost a part of herself. She was different. Mara healed her physical wounds with ancient magic and then gave her a different appearance. She went from a brown-eyed brunette to a blue-eyed blonde. Mara's magic was as old as she was. All the time Mara was treating her and bringing her back to life, the girl was in her house and never went outside. One day she woke up in the morning and realized that Mara was gone. She had done her thing and left this world, the world of the living. The house appeared to be surrounded by woods, and Sasha was sure no one would find it. After regaining her strength, she went out to the humans. It wasn't hard to find someone to help her at first either. She came back different, and her thoughts were different now. The main thing she wanted was to find those who had done this to her.
Before that, I had been a light witch. I helped people a lot, sometimes unselfishly, just for fun, saved a lot of people. And then I fell into the clutches of psychos who thought they were hunters, but they knew how to torture.
Sasha shuddered at the memory. She'd had time to think it over, so she was prepared, and her main trump card was her new appearance. The water in the bathtub cooled down, and the girl opened the hot water faucet. Looking at the clear stream, she felt something dark, alien rising in her soul. After her bath, she had a snack and went to bed. She had been sleeping great lately since she married Kostya. He was different, calm, and reliable. She even felt embarrassed sometimes. She didn't love him after all.
It's all just a love spell, which I'm good at. I'll deal with my husband later. Now I need rest.
In the morning, as usual, Sasha arrived at the house of Rita and Alex. Both were waiting for her, quickly handed over their daughter and drove off in the car. Both dressed as for a hike with backpacks. Sasha immediately realized what was going on, but did not let on. In the evening, the couple returned, tired and a little scared. Sasha had already put Dasha to bed and waited for her parents.
You're late, I should be home by now.
Kostya is on a business trip anyway, what do you care?
We have a clear time limit. I want to rest too.
Wow. Look at her. She's tired. Where did you come from?
Rita was on a rampage. She was clearly out of her mind and talking nonsense, as if she had dropped the mask she wore for everyone. Sasha grinned to herself.
It's time. And who are you? Just a simple streetwalker trash that was picked up?
How dare you? Get out of here, and don't you dare.
At his wife's shouts, Alex came running and stared at his furious wife in incomprehension. He met his eyes with Sasha and felt uneasy. He felt something familiar again.
What's going on here?
Your wife is out of control.
She was rude and insulting to me.
Let's calm down and make up. We've had a hard day, we're just tired. Here, let's drink and make up.
Alex said, pouring wine into glasses. Rita took the glass and almost drained it in one gulp. Sasha barely tasted the glass, but Alex followed his wife's example and drained the glass. In a few minutes, both of them felt weak.
Something is wrong with the wine.
You're right, Rit, you're right.
I'm sick and tired of you, and Dasha will be better off without you.
The spouses, as if they were helpless dolls, were lying on the sofa looking at the blonde. They both understood nothing. Sasha looked at them squeamishly and then ran her hands through her hair. Suddenly, something changed. Sasha became completely different. For a few minutes, a brunette girl appeared in front of them, beautiful, with brown eyes. It was the same girl they had hunted and killed in the end a year ago. Sasha shook her head and went back into her new shell, erasing the past image. She stood up and walked over to the fireplace where huge logs were burning.
A good thing a fireplace is. Here is from the soul, warm, cozy, not safe. Do you think what's going on? It's so simple. You burned me, I remember your trial and torture, I remember everything. Your sect, and that's exactly what it is, are blind. You destroy innocent people, you're murderers. You have it in your head that all witches must be destroyed, and yet you kill those who wage war on evil. You don't see the goodness and the light. I pity you. You made a big mistake with me. Yes, you burned me, but you brought me back. Now I decide your fate, as you once did. You decided my fate then. I was brought back from that place, but I almost lost all my light. I will bring him back with the help of your daughter. She will become a great witch. Not all witches are witches by blood. Many are just well educated. Well, we've talked enough. It's time for your final exit.
Rita looked at the girl with horror, Alex with detached calm. Sasha whispered the words of an ancient incantation. She was summoning the souls of all the witches killed by the spouses. The air sparkled and seemed to shimmer with sparks. One by one, the dead witches appeared. They surrounded Rita and Alex. The girl turned her back to the fire. She could hear the screams of pain and horror. She could hear Rita screaming and begging for mercy. When the screams subsided, Alexandra silently went up to the nursery and took the girl, walking out of the house holding the sleeping baby girl in her arms. Turning toward the fireplace for a moment, Sasha seemed to blow the dust off her palm. The fire in the fireplace flared up with renewed vigor. After driving a decent distance away, Sasha turned toward the house. Clouds of smoke were rising above the mansion, and the howling of sirens could be heard in the distance. Sasha held the little girl's hand. They walked along the paths of the city cemetery towards the exit. Once a month they came to the graves of the girl's parents. But that was a thing of the past now. In a week, they would leave this town and never come back here. Kostya bought a house in the village, exactly where Sasha wanted it. She wanted to come home. To her husband, she told everything after all, she had to. He deserved the truth. Then Kostya was repeatedly convinced of his wife's strength and abilities, and at first he was frightened, but then he got used to it. They had no children of their own yet, but the little girl became their daughter.
I brought up the girl as a native and gradually accustomed her to the business.
Alexandra sometimes caught herself thinking that she was pleased that the daughter of witch hunters would become a witch herself. Sasha will help her in this. The girl would grow up to be a worthy witch. What a wonderful revenge. She never once regretted what she'd done. They wanted to kill her, she just avenged herself. And proved to them, to all the hunters, that witches, especially real witches, are dangerous to mess with. It was Sasha who spread information about the hunters, who they were and how they worked. Some of them were even sent to places not so remote. No matter how you look at it, they were killing people, brutally and horribly. Soon they'll be home, in her home village. Of course, her appearance is different, but her own people will recognize her. A year later, in a large house, a little girl sat at a table and carefully held a large deck of cards in her hands. The cards did not fit in her small hands, but she carefully pulled out a card. Looking at the card, she began to tell what she saw to the woman across the table. She listened attentively and smiled.
Now let's go set the table. Daddy will be back soon.
They set the table, the girl heard the car and ran to meet him. Kostya entered the house holding packages in his hands and barely had time to pick up his daughter in his arms, dropping the burden. He made his way to the living room, not seeing Sasha waving her hand lightly, and the door closed on its own. A new chapter in her life had begun.